Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I hope you're all well. What we're going to talk about in this video, we're going to talk about this beautiful girl. Now, this girl is Lily Sullivan, and this is a British case. This is from Pembroke in Wales that we're going to look at the actual location in a moment. And this is one of those very, very sad stories of a bright light. This beautiful girl. I mean, she is obviously beautiful, physically beautiful, but also it seems she's beautiful not only on the outside but on the inside. You know, her friends described her as cheerful, as sweet, as a true friend who would do anything for you. They said she was a little bit self-critical, though not critical of anybody else. Self-critical. She was an artist. She was creative. She was all those things. She was a daughter. And her mom had suffered, I believe, 14 miscarriages before she had Lily. So you can imagine that Lily was an only child, so wanted, so, loved. And not only that, though, she was a good daughter. She was a beautiful daughter. She had a special relationship with her mum. Just shortly before what happened to Lily happened, her mum had a heart attack, and it was Lily who saved her. Anyway, so it's a very, very sad story all round. To lose a guiding light like this, someone who's on the threshold of their life, only 18 years old, only just started going out. Literally, this was one of her first experiences going out. And she was a person who had a social media presence, as you can imagine, as most sort of 18-year-old girls do. And she used her social media presence trying to keep other girls safe, telling people to be safe, giving them advice. She did everything that you should do, when you start going out. And it just obviously this case, it's not a case that I was very familiar with until a couple of months ago, and I've been meaning to make a video about it for quite a long time. And then, of course, we've got the Lily Sullivan who's missing in Nova Scotia, the little girl. So sometimes when I put in Lily Sullivan, if I spell it with just, I think the Lily's is just one L. This Lily is one L. And the other Lily is two L's. And sometimes things come up about this case. So it's almost like it's been telling me, I have to say this to you before. Sometimes I just feel like people are screaming for their case to be heard, for me to talk about their case. Because although it's a few years ago, I think it was 2021, we cannot forget these people or their names, and we cannot forget the twonks that did what they did to them. Nobody, it's never forget. And of course, for the families of the victims, they can't forget, they don't want to forget. This is their life. This is what they wake up to every morning. It's not just a case that they watch on YouTube. This is it for them. So I've been meaning to do it, as I said, and I decided to do it today. But, it's obviously there's a lot of things that it gives you pause for a case like this. So any of you who've got children, older children, and you call it, they're always your children. Doesn't matter how old they are, does it? We've talked about this before. I mean, my number one son, he's nearly 30 now. It's like, well, it doesn't make any difference to me. To me, he's still my baby in lots of ways. And that's how it feels, isn't it, to parents? So, it feels like one minute they're these little kids. I remember my own father saying this to me years ago. Oh, it's like one minute you're bringing up your kids and they're just kids, and then the next minute it's all finished. And they become adults, and you think when your kids are little, you always think, oh, it'll get easier, oh, when they're older and they'll be doing this and I'll have my independence and blah de blah de blah. It gets more difficult as they get older. I think, if you're a responsible parent, it just never ends. You cannot, they should be independent, but you cannot stop worrying about them. And, thinking back about what I was like at Lily's age at 18, when you're going out, and again, I've said it before on streams, you're going out, you're drinking, you're meeting boys or girls or, whatever floats your boat. You meet strangers in pubs, in bars, in nightclubs, and all these things. You don't know. I mean, it's, people worry about social media, people meeting people on Tinder and stuff like that. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know anything about them. When you meet them in a pub or a nightclub, they buy you a drink. They might, nowadays, there's a lot of spiking drinks. Didn't really have that in my day. People didn't spike drinks, but now you've got that to worry about. So you've got so many other things to worry about. When your adult child goes out, because you lose control completely of them, at least when they're little, you've got the control. You decide where they go, who they go with, what they do. You're in control of everything. When they get older and they start going out, you're completely out of control. You don't know where they are, who they're with, what they're doing. Are they drinking? Are they taking drugs? How they're going to get home? All these things. And that's for boys and girls, men and women. I mean, we have to call Lily a woman. She was 18. She's a woman. She's classed as a woman. But I expect to her mum, she was still her little girl. And she went out. She went to a party and got chatting and had a few drinks and God knows what. I don't know, whether, a lot of young people take other substances as well. I'm not saying Lily did, I have no idea, but she definitely had a drink, etc. She got chatting to an older guy who's 31. So she's 18 and the guy that she got chatting to is 31 years old. So he's a twonk for a start, isn't he? If you remember, can you put your what a twonk thing up? Because the guy that she got chatting to, this guy, he's a complete twonk. He's 31 years old. And not only that, he's already got a child and he's got a girlfriend at home. But he took a shine, obviously, to this beautiful girl. He must have thought it was Christmas when she was chatting to him and even kissed him, because they did have a kiss. So that's the other thing. Oh God, when I think about that when I was young, not even when I was young, really, I've done it, not that long ago. You've had a few drinks, you sat with someone, you have a kiss. Does that mean then that you're supposed, just because you've kissed them, then are they entitled to have sex with you because you've kissed them? Oh my God, it's like, it's a kiss, for God's sake. It's a drunken kiss. That's all it is. Anyway, this is basically what happened to Lily that night when she went out. She was having a really good time with her friends. She unfortunately bumped into this twonk, and she did have a kiss with him in the nightclub. But bearing in mind, she didn't know then that he was already living with someone. She found that out. Somebody shouted that out. His own friend went up to him and said, don't forget, you've got someone waiting for you at home. And he also had a child. I don't know whether it was in that relationship or in another relationship. So he was also a father who's 31 years old, whereas Lily, only 18 years old, out having a good time, drunken kiss. And unfortunately, for Lily, it cost her her life. And what makes this especially sad is, Lily, as I say, shining light, a lovely person. She did all these lovely things, like she volunteered, she was artistic. She was a good daughter. She saved her own mother's life when she had a heart attack. She just was a shining light. This world needs more Lilies. Needs more people like Lily, doesn't it? And it's always the same. It's people like Lily get taken out by twonks like this. We need less of him and more of her. That's what we need in this crazy world that we live in. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about, is Lily's story. And, you know, what lessons can we learn from it? And it's a difficult one because Lily did everything right that night. She went out with her friends. She was always with her friends. She texted her mum. Her mum was going to pick her up. And her mum did go to pick her up. What more can you do, really, to ensure your safety? But you know what? She still wasn't safe. Anyway, that's what we're going to chat about. So I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about Lily and any other woman or girl who's she's a woman. It's hard to call her a woman because she's 18 years old. And when you're 18, you do think you're grown up, don't you? And I think, you know, as a parent, as I say, I don't think your children ever really grow up. I mean, you must get to a point, but you always think of them. They're still your children at the end of the day, aren't they? However old they are, really, but certainly at 18, I don't know if you ever, you have a cut-off point. You realise that when someone's 30 or whatever, they are still your child, but they are not a child. They are a man or a woman, and they, may have their own family by then. A lot of people have got their own family by then. But at 18, it's a very difficult age, that, because it really is a transitional age between a child. You're classed as a child at 17, and then suddenly you're 18 and you're an adult, but it's only a year's difference. So it probably takes quite a lot longer than that before you can be considered as an adult, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look what happened in this case. Now, I don't know if you know about this case. Let's have a look at Pembroke, which is in Wales, which is where it... So for this case, we're going to Pembroke, which is a town in... So that's where it happened, Pembroke. I should imagine it's a place where people, anybody who lives in that area, maybe they will let me know. Strikes me it might be a place that you'd think would be safe. Like, it's not, is it a quiet kind of place, or is it a dangerous place generally? I literally do not know it at all. At all. The only places really I know in Wales are in North Wales. So if there's any Welsh people out there, let me know. And this is where it happened anyway, in Pembroke. Let's go in a bit to it. Pembroke, a town and community in Pembrokeshire, Wales, with a population of 7,552. So it's a small place, isn't it? Very small place. A charming walled town, which dates back over 900 years and is famous for its Norman castle. So that's where it happened. Anyway, so as I say, not a place I know. Some of you out there might know it. If you do, yeah, it is south near Tenby. Thank you, Blue. Sorry, just let me. Okay, so that's where it happened, and it happened, as I say, in 2021. And basically what happened, let's have a look. So she went out. Gosh, crime, isn't it? This poor, an 18-year-old girl went out, Lily Sullivan. And just because she's a friendly girl, and she ended up meeting a man who's older than her, a lot older than her, 31. That's a big difference when you're 18, isn't it? It's 13 years. As you get older, it may be, a difference between 30 and 43 doesn't feel so bad because you're both sort of quite mature. But she's 18, she's only just an adult, and he's 31, and he should know better. and he's got chatting to her in the club, and yeah, got chatted to her in the club, and she's kissed him, and he's taken that as carte blanche. So as she left the club, she was, as I say, she kissed him in the club, and she was probably, maybe bought her a drink, I don't know, maybe her head was turned a little bit by her head was turned a little bit by him being older, and blah, 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 blah. His friend apparently said to him, hey, don't forget, you've got a partner waiting at home. And as they left the club, he started walking with her, and we've got some CCTV to watch of that. And apparently either his friend or her friend, somebody shouted, look, don't forget you've got a partner, and she's only 18 years old. This girl's only 18 years old. So Lily, upon hearing that, just thought she wasn't interested in him at all. Now, in the meantime, she's been on texting her mum. Her mum has gone out to meet her, and her mum is waiting for her at a petrol station. And as I say, we've got pictures and we've got CCTV of that. And as they walked out, Lily was texting and calling her mum, and then the phone was cut off. Her mum was sat at the petrol station waiting for Lily, and she never appeared. But I'll tell you who did appear. So while her mum was sat at the petrol station waiting for Lily, this man, who of course her mum hadn't got a clue who he was, ran past or walked past the car and actually met her eyes as she was sat there. And that's what we're going to look at, this CCTV. So do you imagine, as a mum, you're sat there waiting for your daughter, and some suspicious guy walks past, and she knew, the mum had that mother's instinct, that, but of course she didn't know 100% what had happened. But he knew that was Lily's mum, because he'd been there when Lily had been texting and speaking to her mum on the phone, and Lily had probably said to him, oh, my mum's going to be waiting for me at the petrol station. So he knew that was her mum, and he walked past, he locked eyes with her. I mean, it's he's lucky. God, he's actually lucky that she didn't know at the time what had happened, because God knows what she would have done to him. So yeah, this CCTV footage we're going to look at shows him walking past Lily Sullivan's mum as she waited to pick her daughter up. He looked her mother straight in the eyes. Just moments after, it turns out, what he'd done was actually strangled Lily, because she said no to him. He was looking for sex. She said no because, maybe she wouldn't have done it anyway, but she heard somebody saying about him having a partner at home. She wasn't interested. So she'd said no, and he'd got sort of aggressive. So Lily had said, look, I'm going to go to the police if you don't leave me alone. And he then panicked. This is his story. He then panicked and strangled her, like you do when someone says no. Of course you do. She said no. So he then decided to strangle her. But worse than that, because he strangled her, she was not thought to have been deceased then, but he then pushed her into water, into the mill pond, which is a place there in that area, and just left her there to drown. He literally just pushed her in there, still alive, and left her there. And then he decided to go home, didn't phone the police, didn't phone an ambulance, didn't ask for help from any passers-by. He just left her there to drown. So, of course, we don't have Lily's story, because Lily is not here to tell us about it. Anyway, it was a stranger, a passerby, who saw Lily in the water and phoned the police and the ambulance services. And the ambulance went out there, and they could tell that she'd literally only just been put in there. This is Lily's mum waiting in the car park, and that's him going past. And she saw him go past, and she felt straight away there was something, but she did not know, obviously, what had actually happened. So the ambulance was called. The ambulance could tell that Lily had only recently been put in there, and every effort was made to resuscitate her. And if Lily had been, had not just been left there and him just walked off to leave her to die, she would have been saved. Now, he says he went back to try and save her, but that's a load of crap, isn't it? It's a load of crap. He wanted her to die, and he wanted her to die because he didn't want her to go to the police to say that he'd attempted to RAPE her. That's basically the crux of this. Apparently, there was some custody battle going on with his child. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it. It doesn't really matter. But he is a complete tosspot. So he walked away. He left her there. Didn't ask for help. Apparently, he did sort of go to the water. And he realised she was beyond help. She was not beyond help. She could have been saved, this girl. But he should never have done it in the first place. So just because she kissed him in the club, does that mean he was entitled to have sex with her? In his eyes, apparently so. So, yeah, well, whatever. So let's have a look at this video. Now, there's be an advert first. This is ITV News, and they put an advert on, which is fair enough. So, oh no. Looks like he's going straight. So this is the CCTV of them coming out of the club. They come out of the club. She's going to meet her mum. He follows her. I mean, it seems to me she's trying to go that way. I don't know. You let me know what you think. But to me, it seems like she goes over there and he just follows her. She was probably thinking he'd go that way. She's off to meet her mum. I mean, she's clearly had a drink, and at the end of the day, as an 18-year-old, that's exactly what you do. So he's sort of pulling her along. I think at this moment, because they seem to be, oh no, they're not holding hands, but I expect Lily didn't quite know what to do. So she's texting her mum saying she'll be there in a minute. She told her mum that she'd met somebody, that she was walking with somebody. Maybe she thought she'd be safe with him, to take her to where her mum was. So later, so 1 minute is seen with Lily going off wherever they're going. Maybe Lily thought, I'll be safe with him. He's going to walk me to my mum's car. Maybe she didn't think, she'd had a drink. You don't really think, when I think about the things I've done when I was 18, I've got in cars with people. I've walked home with people. I've gone to people's houses who I hardly knew or didn't even know until that night, or they've come to my house. You're just so trusting at that age. Anyway, this is after he did whatever he did to Lily. So he's walking, then he starts running. So apparently it did hit home to him, what he'd done, because he'd obviously had a drink. Maybe he'd taken substances, who knows, but he was off his face, obviously. And so he started off walking. He's probably thinking, what the hell have I done? Then he starts running. And he runs right past Lily's mum, who's waiting there. Look. He knows that's Lily's mum. He looks at her and she looks at him. But she doesn't know what's happened. But he knows what he's done. He knows what he's done, doesn't he? What a horrible man. Let's just watch that one more time. I always think when we watch these sort of CCTV things, like you just want to grab her, don't you? You want to reach into that CCTV and sort of take her out of it and say, no, don't, God, 31-year-old man and an 18-year-old girl. No, who does he think he is, for God's sake? I'll tell you, his child has had a lucky escape, really, because that is not the sort of person you want for a father, is it? Poor girl. And her poor mum. Round the corner, and then that's it. And then he reappears on his own after he's... Now, Lily was found and she had been... top had been removed. So that he tried to say at his trial that there was no sex motive. What a load of cojones, isn't it? Obviously, there wasn't. Sex was everything in the motive for this. How would he have felt when he knew that was Lily's mum there? And he looks at her and she looks at him. That poor woman, honestly, my heart goes out to her. I just cannot imagine what she's still going through. So yeah, CCTV footage shows Haynes, walking past Lily Sullivan's mum as she waited to pick her daughter up. He had just red-rummed 18-year-old Lily Sullivan, and he looked her mother straight in the eyes, just moments after strangling her daughter and dumping her body in a pond. So this was just before Christmas in 2021. Lewis Haynes murdered 18-year-old Lily Sullivan after meeting her in a nightclub just before Christmas. So just minutes before, look, when their eyes locked there, just literally minutes before, he had attacked this woman's daughter, and he knew who this woman was and left her for dead. So the distraught mother has branded him pure evil and said she could never forgive him. Well, I don't think you could ever forgive him. The events of the night Lily died go over in my mind constantly, and I wake up in the night picturing Lily in the water, wondering if she knew what was happening, if she was scared. I wish I'd stopped Lily going out that night. This was her victim impact statement. I picture the male responsible for Lily's death, who I saw in the garage, and I wish I'd confronted him. He looked me straight in the eyes, knowing what he had done. Knowing that I was that close to her, I wish I'd gotten out of my car and walked. I will always wonder if I could have saved her. So there you go. There's the guilt that people always feel whenever, she's feeling guilty, but she didn't do anything. She turned up there to pick up her daughter. She did nothing wrong. But this is what happens, isn't it? In these cases, people always feel that they failed in some way. But poor Lily, this mother could not have done anything to save her. He's the guilty one. He's the only one that should feel guilty. Nobody else should feel guilty. And she said, I suspect the actual truth will haunt me for the rest of my life. So this was his sentence. Let me know what you think. So bearing in mind, he's 31 years old. And he was jailed for life with a minimum of 23 years. Somebody tell me that's a good sentence. It's not, is it? So he'll be 54 when he has a chance to come out. And he probably will, because he'll probably behave himself or whatever. But what about Lily? And what about her mum with their life set? Well, Lily's got no life left anymore because he's taken it from her. Her mum's got a life sentence with no parole, and he's got 23 years and 4 months. So he'll literally be 54 when he comes up with a chance to have parole, 54, 55. I think when they do these sentences, they should take into account as well the amount of life they've taken off someone. So not only, just the fact, that they've murdered someone, that should be a massive sentence anyway, whatever age the victim is. But I do think they should add to that. I mean, Lily was 18. Let's suppose she had a potential of living to 80. So that's 62 years she's had taken away from her. Even if you thought, well, she had the potential to live to 70, it's 52 years that she's had taken away from her. So why is that not taken into account? Why that just doesn't, that seems a crap sentence to me. And also they didn't, the judge did not believe him when he said there was no sex motive. So, and the judge said, you strangled her face to face. She must have been terrified. An 18-year-old girl all alone in the dark with a powerful man. He's a big guy. She was entirely at your mercy, and you, Lewis Haynes, showed her none. You were entirely thinking about your own self-preservation. Well, they're all very good words, Judge Paul Thomas, QC. But 23 years, really? 23 years for killing that girl? What does everybody else think about this? It should be, to me, really, well, maybe it should be 40 years as far as I'm concerned when you take someone's life like that for a completely selfish motive as well. I mean, if you take someone's life because maybe they've done something terrible to you, or maybe there's some extenuating circumstances. There's no extenuating circumstances with this guy. This is a girl, an 18-year-old girl. He's a 31-year-old man, a father, with a partner at home. Anyway, I wonder if the judge took into account, because there was a couple of, let's try and think about why the judge might have taken that into account. And this is the police statement. I'll just read you what happened. But the thing is, he did. So let me go back to what he did when he got home. So he went home. He asked his girlfriend, who he was living with, to take him to his father's house. And off he went to his father's house, and he admitted what he'd done. So that's the only extenuating circumstance, and maybe the judge took that into account. The police, he did volunteer himself. He told his dad what he'd done, and his dad phoned the police, and the police came and arrested him. I mean, he would have been caught anyway. Because of the CCTV and all that sort of thing. And obviously everybody knew he'd left the club with Lily. He must have known that. I expect all that went through his head. Oh my God, I'm never going to get away with this. I'm sure if he thought he could have got away with it, he would have tried to get away with it. But anyway, he didn't. So let's take let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he did feel terrible remorse, but he waited until she was dead. He could have called an ambulance. He could have got someone, and he could have just held it. I mean, really, that guy would have been better off to just say, I was totally pissed off, out of my head, or I'd been, on drugs or combination or whatever he'd been doing. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a total mad moment. I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. But he could have saved Lily. He could have saved her. But he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to save her because he didn't want her to tell the police. He wanted her to not be able to speak, because now suddenly it's only his word. At first, if she would have survived, it would have been his word against hers, because he probably would have said, oh, she went there voluntarily and blah, blah, de blah. But of course, getting rid of her, killing her, it meant that it was only his word. She can't speak because she's deceased. But of course, the CCTV and everything speaks for her in that sense. But he was never going to get away with the fact that he did it. So I expect all that went through his head as he was walking home. He went home to his girlfriend. He asked his girlfriend to take him to go and see his dad. And in the end, it was his dad who, I mean, that must have been difficult. You know, I feel for his family as well. I think we always have to remember not only the victim's family, but the perpetrator's family. If they've, you know, got nothing to do with it, I expect his dad helped to convince him to give himself up. I hope so. You know, that's what I think I would do, you know, and I hope I never have to find out. But, you know, if your loved one, your son, your or daughter, depending on what the crime was, your son, daughter, grandson, brother, father, you know, you would want to protect them in one way, but I hope, you know, in another sense, you can't protect someone from this. It's not a shoplifting charge. You know, if your child or your loved one comes home and says, "Oh, I've been shoplifting, I think I got caught on CCTV," maybe you would try and protect them. But I think when it comes to the murder of a young girl, you couldn't, could you, try and protect them? You just couldn't. And if you do, you're a twonk as well, in my opinion. You know, he needed to be caught, and anyway, he was caught, but he would have been caught anyway. It's just he would have taken them longer to find him if he wouldn't have volunteered himself. And also, initially, he pled guilty to manslaughter, not murder. But as time went on, and he realised the evidence was so strong against him for murder, because he just left her there in that water to drown. Then he changed his plea to murder. So those will be probably circumstances the judge took into account. You know, that he volunteered himself for arrest. You know, that it was it was a spur of the moment thing. It's not like planning a murder, is it, over 6 months or whatever. And unfortunately for Lily, she was there. It could have been anyone, really, couldn't it? It could have been any young girl. Makes you wonder if he's ever done anything before. So anyway, yes, so this all happened on the 17th of December 2021. She was on a night out with friends, and police were called just after 4:10 a.m. and made aware that an assault had taken place in the Mill Pond area. And this led to the discovery of Lily in the water shortly after 4:30. Lily was recovered from the water, and despite extensive efforts by paramedics and police, Lily died of her injuries. So forensic examinations identified that she'd been the victim of a violent attack, and the cause of her death was consistent with strangulation. And Lewis Haynes was quickly arrested, 31, was quickly arrested and subsequently charged with her murder. He pled guilty to manslaughter and not guilty to murder in May of this year. What year was this? This was 2022. And he was due to stand trial for murder on the 20th of June. However, he changed his plea to guilty due to the overwhelming strength of the evidence presented against him. Oh, what a beautiful girl. As I say, you know, beautiful inside and outside. So Senior Investigating Officer, Detective Chief Inspector Richard Yellard said, on the evening of the 16th of December 2021, she enjoyed an evening out with friends and never returned home. In the early hours of the following morning, the violent and predatory actions of Lewis Haynes took the life of Lily. Haynes passed numerous opportunities to seek help for Lily when fleeing the scene of this crime, and his selfish and cruel actions have changed the lives of all those who knew and loved Lily and the close-knit community of Pembroke. And the life sentence handed down to Lewis ensures he will not be able to harm others in the community. DIFED Powers, sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, police and our partners will continue to work tirelessly to bring to justice those who perpetrate violence against women and girls in all its forms. This sentence is no consolation for Lily's family and friends, but I hope it will be a step forward in the slow process of rebuilding their lives. Today, my thoughts are entirely with them. So yeah, a mum who did everything she could to keep her daughter safe, but she wasn't. So I think a lesson that is learned here, in my opinion, is you've got to try and talk to your young adults in your family. That's all you can do. I mean, I think it will probably it does end up landing on deaf ears, doesn't it? A lot of the time. Let me just put these pictures up. It does just end in, I know, I don't know. Do you think young people listen? But apparently, Lily, she was an advocate of safety. On her social media posts, etc. She was, trying to encourage people to be safe when they went out, etc. What more could she have done than, her mum was there to pick her up. She was meeting around the corner. I suppose she could have met her directly outside the club. I don't know. What could have saved Lily? But I think basically Lily was just so trusting as well. I think at that age you don't realize the danger of these people, especially for girls and men. She didn't realize a 31-year-old man who's trying to get off with an 18-year-old. He's not right, is he? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like the BBC. Look, I think there he was, that seemed to me that he was saying to, I don't know what she was carrying, but it looked like he was saying, oh, give me that and hold my hand. She gives him something and holds his hand. I think, for Lily, she was probably quite impressed with her, maybe she didn't realise how old he was. And she was probably thinking, oh, he's going to walk me to my mum's car. And she would probably thinking, oh, I'm going to be safe because he's going to walk me there. The thing is, you are trusting at that age. You are really trusting. She would never have thought for a minute that she was in danger from this man. She'd had a few drinks, he'd had a few drinks, she'd had a little kiss with him in the club. She didn't realise just how aggressive he was going to be. Yeah, he's saying to her, give me that. Give me that. And whatever it is, I'm not sure what it is. It's not her bag, is it? What is that? Does anyone recognise what that is? Yeah, he's saying, give me that. What is that? She gives it him and then she takes his hand. So she's probably thinking, oh, he's going to walk me to my mum's car. I'll be safe with him. Ay, 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 ay. There he is. Walk along, he starts running. Oh, this video doesn't show him actually walking past her mum's car. God, you wish you could freeze it in time, don't you? Poor Lily. Maybe she was alive then. And there's a mum sat there while he walks past. Ay, ay, ay. Yep, frozen in time on that CCTV. So yeah, a mum says she'll never have peace, and she won't, will she? How can she have peace? So this is the mill pond in Pembroke where she was found, and unfortunately too late to save. So what the judge said was, whatever happened in that lane, we will never know because you've chosen not to tell anyone. I mean, what 100% what happened was he made a play for it. She had a kiss with him. She's probably happy to kiss him. But she didn't want to go any further. He started, what did he think she was going to do? Have sex with him in an alley? You know, really? Because he couldn't take her home because he was already living with someone. She must have been terrified. You were only concerned with your own self-preservation. Her death has caused so much distress to many, to so many. That's it. Lily was loved. You know, she was loved. She was a good friend. She was a good daughter. She was all those things. And, yeah, this man not only took her away, hi, Miss Lee. He not only took her away from her family and her friends, but he took her away from the world. You know, society needs people like... My heart just breaks for a mum because, you know, she was a single, an only child. Her mum had had many miscarriages before she ended up having Lily. I think 14 miscarriages her mum had attempting to have children. She's only in her 40s. And now she's lost this girl. I don't know how she's coping. I literally don't. So my heart, my prayers go out to her as well. Now, as far as he's concerned, as I say, I do feel for his family as well, because it's not their fault, is it? It's not their fault of the sort of person. You know, he's got a child. He had a partner. But this is where he is now. As far as I'm concerned, he's in the hellhole. He's got a minimum of 20 odd years. He's already served a couple of years. How will he get on in prison, I wonder? He won't get on as badly as like people that have killed children and things like that. But still, she's only just not a child, isn't she? You know, at 18 years old. I don't know how that gets looked on in the prison population. I hope he's going through hell, to be honest. Well, he's gone in the hellhole, but I hope his prison sentence is difficult. I really do. He can't, you know, just... Unless he feel, you know, maybe eventually he will feel, maybe he does genuinely feel sorry. Maybe it was because he was drugged up, drunk, or combination of both, whatever he was. You know, maybe that is... I don't think he had any previous convictions, but I still just think it's odd that a grown man of 31 with a partner, with a child, would be trying to get off with an 18-year-old girl. You know, it's like, it's revolting, isn't it? Really, I think. I mean, if that was a 31-year-old woman trying to get off with an 18-year-old boy, that would be revolting, wouldn't it? Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about Lily because we should never forget these girls or boys, these stories of people, you know, going back to the original thing that I was saying, when your child, you always think things will get easier when your child gets older, but they don't, they get harder. Because once you lose control of them, you know, in the sense that they're not just going out with you anymore, they want to go out with their friends, they've got their independence, they go out, you don't even know who they're with, you don't know what they're doing, are they taking drugs, are they drinking, are they smoking, whatever they're doing. So, yeah. You know, there's all kinds of situations going on out there. And you know, I think with Lily, what else could you do to make yourself safe and get your mum come out to meet you? And no, I think Lily, you know, she just trusted this guy because he was older, probably made a big fuss of her I don't even know what he did, how he got around her. I don't know, because she did kiss him. But, you know, just because, so any sort of boys out there, or mothers of boys or fathers of boys, you know, you have to instill into your boy, just because a woman kisses you does not mean that that gives you a right to sex. You know, it's a kiss, it's a drunken kiss. It's like, God, I've done a million drunken kisses. You know, haven't we all? Haven't we? I don't know. Just, you know, oh, yeah, you know, you've had a few drinks and maybe it's Christmas or it's some kind of party and you have a kiss with someone. It doesn't mean you're going to, you know, you want to have sex with him or marry him or whatever. It's a kiss. That's it, a kiss. And people have got to accept that. People, you know, men can't expect sex just because a woman has kissed them. Yeah. So there's always date now. But it's true, David, the danger on a night out is high. But of course, people are going to go out on nights out. I don't want to say to people, oh, don't go out. Go out, but you've got to be careful with people. You've got to be careful. And nowadays, the drink spiking is a big thing, isn't it? Like, he could have spiked her drink and then she wouldn't have even known. You know, I know people that have had their drink spiked, literally woken up the next morning and not even remembered what's happened. You know, so you've always got, I think the problem is when you're young, like as we get older, we do get more cynical, don't we, and more careful. But I think when you're young, you haven't got that cynicism. You know, you take people at face value, don't you? You know, oh, he seems nice. And you're like, oh, do you want a drink? Oh, yeah, please. Do you want a cocktail? Oh, yeah, please. You know, and then they bring you a cocktail and they've slipped something extra in it. You know, or drink spiking is rife, isn't it? It's a terrible thing. And then before you know it, these people, they don't even remember what's happened to them. So they don't even report it half the time because they feel embarrassed. There's one person that I know that it happened to. And when she told me about it, I was like, didn't you go to the police? And she was too embarrassed to go to the police. Too embarrassed. So all you can do is educate your young people, and not only women, girls can be spiked. Boys get spiked too, don't they? Sometimes people do it just for fun, don't they? There's idiots out there who put a spike their friend's drink just for the fun of it. You know, there was some talk about that with Riley Strain. Do you remember the case of Riley Strain, the young lad that was out with all his frat brothers and ended up getting absolutely high as a kite, didn't we? Saw the CCTV of him. He was falling over and that, and he ended up in the river. And it just makes you wonder, was he spiked? Though I don't think any evidence was found of that, but there was a lot of speculation about that. You know, sometimes people do that for fun. So there are two things you can teach your young people in your family, whether it be your children, your grandchildren, your brothers, it might be you. I don't, you know, people of all ages watch my videos, so I don't know. But there are two things that you need to teach them. One is not to spike people's drinks, and also there's this, and not to, you know, take people at face value, trust people too much. You've got to always be careful, but I do think when you get drunk or take substances or combination of both, your common sense goes out the window, doesn't it? But also I think you've got to teach people not to do that. You know, if you've got a boy, you know, it's like, don't do that. You know, you hope that your boy, the boy in your family, wouldn't do that to a girl like this man has done. But you know, you don't know, do you? You've just got to, it's all a matter of education. But, or can you even stop them? Because even if you're trying to educate them not to do that, how can you stop it if they're thinking of doing it? Oh, life's a minefield, isn't it? But anyway, so yeah, you should still enjoy your nights out, but you've just got to keep your head screwed on a little bit, haven't you? You know, you've got to be aware. Says me who was never aware when I was young, but I do think it's different now because people have got more awareness now. We didn't have social media then. We wouldn't have heard about cases like this, etc. So hopefully younger people are a bit more switched on now. Let's hope so. But anyway, thank you for caring about Lily. Let's have another look at her before we go. Such a beautiful girl. You know, lots of lovely social media photos. A girl on the brink of her life, and all taken away by this ugly twonk. You know, just anyway, he's in there in the hellhole, literally and figuratively. And I hope he sees Lily's face every night before he goes to bed. I hope she haunts him. I really do. And maybe one day he would genuinely be sorry. I don't know. But anyway. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, don't forget to like and subscribe, of course. And yeah, I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you.